Strategies for Developing Listening Comprehension. Presented by Suzana Ulanova, Jacqueline Vulcano, and Vasquez. Developing listening skills in a second language is important for language acquisition and significant for oral discourse. Sharma, 2011, noted that, quote, listening is a communication method that requires the listener to understand, interpret, and assess what they hear. Listening skills are essential for learning since they enable students to acquire insight and information and to achieve success in communicating with others. End of quote. The more the learners are exposed to the language, the better their comprehension will become. Being able to understand the language by listening, students can learn more about the use of the language. As Silsa Marcia and Olstein state, quote, listening is the most frequently used language skill in everyday life. End of quote. Teaching listening skills to language learners involves using a variety of strategies. Such strategies include: Number 1. Making students aware of learning methods they can use to enhance their comprehension skills. Students will be able to practice using strategies and find out which ones work best for them. Number 2. Using pre-listening activities to activate the student's background knowledge. This is important because background knowledge can help students to better understand a topic, giving them the opportunity to make connections as well as improve retention. Number 3. Informing the students what they are going to listen to. This strategy will help students to be prepared for the listening activity. Number 4. Providing guided listening activities and making clear to the students what they are listening for. Practice will help students to enhance their listening skills. By knowing what they are listening for, students will be more focused on the listening activity. Number 5. Giving the students opportunity for self-assessment. Did the students accurately and completely accomplish the listening tasks? By evaluating their own performance, students can understand what their strengths are and which areas need improvement. As stated by Dr. Nina Sharma, quote, effective language instructors show students how they can adjust their listening behavior to deal with a variety of situations, types of input, and listening purposes. They help students develop a set of listening strategies and match appropriate strategies to each learning situation. End of quote. The activities presented in this lesson use effective strategies to assist intermediate adult English language learners in developing essential listening skills. We chose adults because we've all had experience working with adults or want to teach them in the future. We decided to focus on intermediate level learners as we could use more challenging dialogues and focus on higher order thinking skills. The following 3 activities will demonstrate teaching listening skills through listening to a story, a TV show, and a YouTube video. I will begin by presenting the first activity. In this activity, the students will be required to retell a story. They will listen to the short story $1,000 by O. Henry. The students will have to listen for specific information. The instructor will pause and give students time to write before continuing with the story. Objective: students will practice their comprehension skills by listening for specific information. Goal: after completing their assigned tasks, students will be able to successfully retell the story. Each student will be assigned one of the following tasks: list all characters and describe their characteristics, list the different settings in the story, list all events in the story. After listening to the story and writing down the information they're required to, students will be separated in groups of 3. Each member of the group will have completed one of the 3 listening tasks. The group will be given time to discuss the information they have gathered in order to retell the story. Materials: laptop and internet connection to access the audio file of the story online. A worksheet for characters, things, and events. Outcomes: Were the students able to complete their assigned listening tasks? Did they miss anything in the story? How well were they able to retell the story?
Part 2. Using TV Shows to Improve Listening Skills by Jacqueline Vulcano. Miriam Burt, 1999, describes videos as stimulating tools to use with adult English language learners, as they, quote, generally present real language that is simplified and is spoken at a normal speed with genuine accents, can provide a realistic view of American culture, and their compelling storylines can motivate learners to stretch their comprehension. The following activity centers around a video clip from a popular TV show called Heart of Dixie. The objectives of this activity are for students to be able to 1. Use communication strategies such as asking for clarification and re-listening to the video to understand specific details. 2. Use content schemata, expectations based on prior knowledge, and formal schemata, expectations based on sociocultural knowledge, to interpret discourse. 3. Use graphic organizers to organize thought processing. And 4. Recall and summarize information to enhance cognitive thinking skills. Digital materials that will be needed are a computer with internet access connected to an overhead projector that projects onto a screen, the computer set to play the beginning of the Heart of Dixie episode, Bluebell, and any online timer. Paper materials that will be needed are double-sided copies of the summarizing graphic organizer for each student, created by screen name The Speech Bubble SLP. The tasks in this activity work best if students are in teams of 4. The partner in front of the student is his or her face partner. The partner sitting beside the student is his or her shoulder partner. Step 1. Warm up and making connections. In this step, students will work on making connections to background knowledge, listening for details, recalling information, and summarizing information. Project the discussion questions and an online timer set for 8 minutes on the screen. Tell students, today we're going to talk about weddings. Take turns answering each of the 4 questions. Listen carefully to your partner because after the 8 minutes, you will explain to your shoulder partner what your face partner just told you. Step 2. Setting the scene. Next, set the scene for what students are going to do. First, elicit answers to what is summarizing. Then tell students, we're going to watch a video clip from the popular TV show and practice summarizing. First, we will work together as a class to learn how to summarize what we see happening in the video clip. Second, you will focus on your listening skills and summarize with a partner what the characters are saying. Give the students a little background on the video clip by presenting pictures and names of the characters and describing the characters' roles. Step 3. Learning how to summarize. In this step, students will watch the TV show clip and summarize what they see happening. There are 3 parts or scenes in the video clip to represent the beginning, middle, and end. Pass out double-sided copies of the graphic organizer to each student, with one side scaffolded for students with a couple of details from the first scene. Play the Heart of Dixie video clip from the beginning to minute 2:20, which ends at the end of the kitchen scene. Pause the video after each scene to elicit a few details and allow time for students to write in the graphic organizer. As a class, combine the notes or sentences from the 3 sections to write a summary of the video in paragraph form. Step 4. Summarizing using listening skills. Now that students grasp the idea of how to develop a summary, they will watch the video clip again and focus on their listening skills by collecting details and writing a summary of what they hear people saying in the scenes. You can let the video play in its entirety so students recognize the scene changes, or you can pause after each section to allow students to gather their thoughts and write. Have students complete the second summarizing organizer with their shoulder partner.
Part 3: Using YouTube videos to improve listening skills by Vasquez.
Task-based vocabulary learning through various activities, quote, can promote vocabulary learning, end quote. NOM 2010, page 9. The following activity will assign students the task of watching a provided YouTube clip on sportsmanship and require them to define a specified list of vocabulary words with collaboration from the class and instructor.
Objectives. The objectives of this activity are for English language learners to be able to improve listening and comprehension skills, identify the proper use of English vocabulary spoken by native speakers, and to identify and retain vocabulary as presented in the media. Digital materials. Required digital materials will include a computer with appropriate internet access, preferably connected to an overhead projector or monitor visible to the entire class, traditional overhead projector, and the YouTube video, quote, turn sports into teaching opportunities, end quote, with the URL seen here set to play. Paper materials. Required paper materials include a copy of the video transcript, an activity sheet listing definitions to be identified, which words include rude, aggressive, adversity, translate, referee, sportsmanship, vital, and obey. Additionally, a transparency for the instructor showing literal definitions of the aforementioned keywords.
Classroom arrangement. This particular project works best with groups of 4.
Step 1. Prior connections. The instructor will ask students to, within their respective groups, discuss what experience they have, if any, with sportsmanship within their native countries. Specifically, the instructor will ask students to discuss the following questions, as seen below.
Step 2. Setting the scene. Discuss the literal definition of sportsmanship. Quote, fair play, respect for opponents, and polite behavior by someone who is competing in a sport or other competition. End quote. Sportsmanship, no date. Discuss the issues we, as a society, occasionally face with bad sportsmanship. Next, relay to the students that the video will discuss key ideas about sportsmanship as it relates to parents. Lastly, advise the student that they are to listen for keywords which are listed on their worksheets and are to guess the definition on the first line, and that we will discuss the literal definition on the second line after the video.
Watching and defining. Students now have a preconceived notion of what sportsmanship is and what it is not. Likewise, students have been provided keywords to attempt to identify and define within the video. Start the video and play all the way through, URL shown below. Checking for understanding. Allot time for students to discuss their definition guesses within their respective teams. Thereafter, provide students with literal definitions of the keywords via a transparency on the overhead projector and review them as a class. A composition task that is a, quote, retelling, unquote, can contribute to vocabulary retention. NOM 2010. Summation. As our introduction held, quote, listening skills are essential for learning since they enable students to acquire insight and information, and to achieve success in communicating with others, unquote. Sharma, 2011, page 13. Furthermore, quote, listening is the most frequently used language skill in everyday life, end quote. Celsi, Murcia, and Austin, 2014, page 102. Therefore, since developing listening skills in a second language is important for language acquisition and significant for oral discourse, we contend that through the utilization of the aforementioned activities, including using authentic materials, the retelling of a story, and utilizing TV shows and YouTube videos, we're able to teach listening skills to adult English language learners at the intermediate level.